new and slightly older Citroen Cadian. There's an oddball car, the Talbot Matra. Oh yeah, that's nice, isn't it? Good morning folks, welcome to Old Classic Car. Today we are at Oulton Park. It is a Friday, the day before the big French car gathering on Saturday, the Auto de France gathering. There's all manner of race cars preparing today for the race, various different race events that are happening tomorrow, and including this. This is a pretty wild looking thing. Yes, it's modern, but yeah, certainly quite an eye-catching car, a Peugeot of some description. I will look up, find out what it is exactly. But it's certainly quite an impressive bit of kit. However, we will go and see if we can find some slightly older cars to look at today on Friday, test day. There'll also be races for slightly later French cars here tomorrow, including many Citroen Saxos are all queuing up for the noise testing at the moment. Like I say, it's the Friday, so this is testing day before the main event tomorrow. There's a gentleman with his probe. One of the highlights tomorrow is 2CV racing, something I've never ever seen before.
Bit of a lack of wheel at the back there.
Some of these have been out testing already this morning. The full race itself is tomorrow, and that should be a real giggle. Got another race prepared, 2CV on this trailer here. I'm not sure if this one's taking part in the test day here today. Obviously there'll be more cars here tomorrow for the main event. And it's really cool to see these here at Oulton Park. If you can hear a bit of noise, there is some drifting going on the drifting course over there, so we'll go and have a quick look at that later, because that's usually good fun to watch. I can actually see a 2CV driving in at the moment. But yeah, we're definitely looking forward to watching these go around. I was just speaking to one of the drivers. These produce roughly twice the power of a standard road car, so we're talking sort of 50 odd brake horsepower, something like that. So that should keep the racing nice and close. It's been quite a few years since 2CVs have raced here at Oulton Park apparently, so that'll definitely be the highlight of tomorrow's French car show, and we're really looking forward to that. This drift day has got nothing to do with the racing this weekend or the French car events. It certainly looks like a bit of fun, so we'll just have a quick look and watch some of these cars going around. I did see an MX-5 going around before, so it'll be interesting to see how that copes with this very slippery track. Well, welcome to Old Classic Car. Today is Saturday and it is Auto de France, the French car day here at Oulton Park. Now, we were meant to be here in our little French car, the little Renault 750 4CV. And sadly, it's misbehaving a little bit at the moment and I'm waiting for a few parts to arrive for it. So, it was a plucky little Standard that brought us here. The Standard hasn't featured on the channel very much of late, so here is its moment to bask in the glory of standing in for the reluctant Renault. So yeah, anyway, I think this is probably the first time this particular event's taking part at Oulton Park, so it's going to be interesting just to see what cars are here. There's racing all day, there's practice on the circuit at the moment, but I'm going to prioritise some of the older cars which I can see parked just over there. It wouldn't be an event at Oulton Park without this wonderful H-van catering van, the coffee van. This is a regular here at Oulton, and today it is particularly appropriate. What a lovely little van that is. Well, there's all manner of French cars here today, some modern, some in between, and some fairly old. So obviously, being the Old Classic Car channel, we will be prioritising the older cars while having an overall look at this particular event. As I think Harley mentioned in his introduction, the weather forecast in particular is looking distinctly average today, so that may put off a few people, but we're here anyway regardless. That's quite a neat little 106 van on the end now. But yeah, the older cars are really the ones that we will be prioritising, probably beginning with that lovely 2CV van over there in the colours of Michelin. There'll be lots of these racing here today. I'm not sure about Clios, but yeah, let's go and have a look at this lovely 2CV based van. Now, is this an AK400 perhaps? We'll have a look at the information sheet in the window. Last time I saw this one was at Goresworth Hall. What a beauty that is. Let's have a look at the good old information sheet here. 1977 2CV, yep, AK400. The fourgonette of small van. This one's had a new chassis, probably galvanised I guess, disc brakes, seats, and the body is original with very little rust, the main enemy of 2CVs, 602cc and a mighty 28 horsepower. The guy I was speaking to yesterday, one of the race prepared 2CVs, said his car produces roughly twice that of a standard 2CV, so I'm guessing he's somewhere in the 50s, which must be quite exciting in one of the little tin snails. This one lived most of its life in Caen, Normandy. Little or no salt on the roads, has managed to survive for 40 years.
That was my brother.
Oh, is it your brother's? Is it? Oh, right.
You took it. It was on the videos of Goresworth.
Goresworth Hall. That's right. Yes.
Next to the Morgans.
That's right. Yes, in the long, just in the.
I said you want to change your thing because he doesn't live in Chester anymore.
Does he not? Oh, right. No one will mind. No one will
no.
mind. I don't think.
He's
But
done
yeah,
a good job of it, hasn't he?
It's a beauty, isn't it? I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the Michelin on the side as well.
Yeah.
Monsieur Bibendum.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's
Clermont
fantastic.
Ferrand, the main depot for.
That's where the race circuit used to be, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
The early Mr. Bibendums, he used to smoke a big fat cigar, didn't
Yes,
he?
that's
Do you remember
right,
that?
yeah.
Yes. But no,
No,
it's
he's made
lovely,
a good job of it.
it's a lovely van that is. I think that'll be one of the highlights of our day here today
Yeah,
at
yeah.
Oulton Park, sunny Oulton Park, or as it is,
Well, you always
slightly
call it
overcast.
sunny even when it isn't.
Well, you have to look on the bright side, don't you? It's
I just had a word with Harley as well.
Oh, have you? Yeah, he's never far away. Isn't that a little Bobby Dazzler?
Needs to go with the stickers on it.
Yeah, it needs an OCC Bobby Dazzler sticker on that one, really. Even got the correct mud flaps on the back. Nice detail. Yeah. Let's have a quick peek in through the window, the fenêtre. Isn't that fantastic? There's an interesting little home-built car with a 2CV engine hung out the front. And what's this? A mighty Citroen CX. If you watch my recent Avro Heritage video for June, I think it was, 2023, I had a lengthy interview with a gent who's got one of these, and he was explaining all about this. I don't know if it was this one, but he was explaining all about the suspension spheres and all that kind of malarkey. Yes, indeed. But quite a wild-looking car. What do we have here? lengthy magazine article all about this magnificent car. What a thing this is. These were in effect the successor to the DS, which soldiered on for many, many years. And this harks back to when Citroens were pretty idiosyncratic and they tended to do their own thing, whereas now, not so much. But back then, they really did push the envelope in terms of the thinking and their creativity. Look at that wonderful concave rear screen. There's an oddball car, the Talbot Matra, particularly memorable for the fact it's got 3 abreast seating. I'm not sure if we can see in through the window, but no, we can't see in, but never mind. But yeah, 3 abreast seating in these. When I was a youth growing up in the 70s, there used to be someone who lived nearby and had one identical to that over in Cheadle. Might even be the same car, I don't know, but certainly a real oddball car, and that's just the sort of thing I was hoping to see here at this French car show.
Oh yeah.
It's always a bit better. And various Alpines, new and slightly older here. Got a few 2CVs here already, and I'm sure there'll be many more before the day is through. Here we've got a Dolly limited edition. And there's Charleston alongside that. I remember years ago we were holidaying in North Wales and loads of them appeared. There must have been a big club run out, and most of them had those boot lid extensions on them, which is particularly groovy accessory. There's another one over the back that's got the same thing on it. It doesn't do much for the lines, but certainly it makes it way more practical. You can carry so much more if you've got one of these bolted onto the back. I assume it's a bolt-on, bolt-off accessory. Is this a French accessory, or are they made here? Maybe you know. Let me know in the comments if you're any the wiser. But some of these limited edition 2CVs look really, really nice. So what's this? 1983, it says on the very handy information thing in the window. 96,200 miles, 3 owners, current owner for 25 years. Yeah, super sharp looking car. 71 miles an hour.
Faster than the racing ones are doing.
Hopefully we won't see too much of that today.
I'm looking forward to seeing these racing.
Yes, yeah, a bit of 2CV racing action later on today, so hopefully the weather will hold sufficiently for that to take place. Yeah, great little cars. Do you fancy a 2CV?
I quite like them.
Yeah.
But I'd maybe something even more oddball.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I guess you can get the parts for 2 CVs.
Yeah.
I bet you like that, whatever it is.
What's that?
That's a parking meter thing. But I don't know what it is, but I bet you like that.
Oh yeah, that's nice, isn't it? Yeah, it's a parking.
There you go.
Yeah, parking thing. I saw one of those in an antique centre recently somewhere. We were toying with buying it for the Renault. Well, I figured I should probably get it running before I worry too much about that. Ooh, there's a beautiful Citroen over there. Is that an ID19? Right, well, I found the owner, and I've just been looking at this ID19 with this incredible fiberglass roof, unfinished. You can see all the weave in there as well. So let's see if we can find out a little bit more about that. So what's the story with this roof then on your ID?
So the DSs were usually painted. Early IDs were unpainted. It was probably part of the poverty spec.
So which came out first then?
DS came in
DS.
late 55, and the
Right.
ID was like a response to the DS being a little bit too complicated after the traction advance.
Yeah.
And it frightened a lot of customers away, and the price was really high, and they were going wrong a lot. So they developed the ID, which is same shell, same engine, no semi-automatic gearbox, manual gearbox, no power steering, conventional brakes.
Right.
So
And these are different, aren't they? These are much
so
simpler, aren't they?
That's a
would that-
ID.
So would that have been chromed on the DS?
Yeah,
then,
DS
or some
chromed,
sort of,
yeah. Well, they're all stainless. There's no chrome on them, so
Right,
it'd have been a stainless
right,
one
right,
there. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so they managed to drop the price a lot, and then that allowed them to sell a lot more, and there was a bit more confidence in these. So, as a classic car, they're a lot easier to look after.
It's the same suspension and
The
everything.
suspension's the same. I've
Right,
had DSs
right.
in the past, and so the power steering is great, but it's complicated. So it's still got miles and miles of pipework, but it's nowhere near as complicated as DS.
Is it not? Right.
But they have a semi-automatic
Right,
gearbox,
right.
power steering, one or two other little bits and pieces, which are, the brakes are different on a DS. They're powered as well with the hydraulics, whereas this is...
I believe the brakes are very sort of on-off.
Yeah, but they're not on this. I've had DSs in the past, and they're just a little button on the floor, and you just touch it and you're through the screen. But this is like an intermediate model. I think a bit later, in about 62, they started bringing the power brakes in on the ID.
Yeah. Wow.
So they sort of played catch up, really.
Yeah, I've never really looked at one of these closely
Yeah.
to notice all these sort of detailed
Yeah,
differences.
there's quite a bit of difference, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Can I have a
aluminium
quick
bumpers.
peek- can I have a quick peek
Yeah, sure.
inside?
So it's not just restored inside, it's been painted, it's never been welded.
Wow.
I need to crack on. I've only had it 20 years, so I need to crack on and get the interior done.
Yeah.
This is my slave interior at the moment.
Right.
Which is while I'm doing the other one. So this is
Of course, frameless doors as well.
doors,
Yeah.
windows, yeah. So unfortunately you
Wow.
can see the workings.
That don't matter, does it? No,
So-
my standard's the same.
So this was the
That's
first
great, isn't it?
ID dash, which is not quite as adventurous as the DS, but it's still quite space
It
age.
must be really unusual, this.
Yeah, can you imagine in the 50s, in
Yeah.
this country, what we'd be driving? Cowleys and...
So has this always been in this country then, since? Or?
No, it's a French car, so that's why it's not rusty. It's been here about 30 years, perhaps.
Right.
It was probably Retromobile in London who imported it. A Japanese architect had it first over here.
Yeah.
He had to go back to Japan, sold it to a friend of mine. I bought it off him about 20 odd years ago. And that's it,
It's
really.
incredible, but there must be
Yeah.
very few of it. There must be more DSs around now
Yeah.
compared to this.
Yeah, there's a handful of IDs, early ones.
Yeah.
So there's this original model, and in '62 they had a facelift to change the dashboard. So this is as it was originally.
Yeah. So this is 1959, you said?
Yeah, late
wasn't it?
'59. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a
So
fantastic
for 1 year
car,
only
isn't it?
colour. This grey. They always had a grey, but this is like a 1 year only.
Yeah.
This trim is called Helenka. That's
Oh,
that was an
right.
optional trim. The usual stuff is like a plain jersey, like a wool.
Got you.
Very nice looking stuff. Well, not a wool, but like a synthetic-y sort of plain colour.
So is
That
that,
was really adventurous.
so is that the handbrake down
the
there,
handbrake,
is it?
yeah.
Well, so that's
Yeah.
designed to take your knee off then?
Yeah. Single spoke steering wheel.
Yeah, it's fantastic that is, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, that's just wonderful. I really love
Yeah,
that.
so it's pretty wacky in this day.
Yeah, it's pretty
you'd have
wacky
to be-
now.
Yeah, they did build them in Slough, which and right-hand drive, but they tried to sort of make them a bit more for the English market. They had a bit of wood on the dash and leather seats, which
Right.
were local content, and they're not quite got that French feel to
Not
them. It's
quite
like,
as,
it's cod English, which is like, oh, why did he do that? Why can you stick with it? But I suppose
No,
at the
it's
time it
fantastic.
would have been an adventurous car to buy in the UK.
Definitely.
Yeah, you'd
Yeah,
have
very
bought-
left field choice.
Yeah,
that,
you'd have
wasn't
bought a
it?
Rover or a Wolseley or something, wouldn't you? With
Yeah.
that sort of money,
Yeah, no, that's
with the
great.
purchase
that is.
tax.
Well, thanks very much for
Yeah, no
having a
problems.
quick chat about your fantastic Citroen.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
incredible. I love that. Thanks to the owner of the ID19 for showing us around his wonderful car. And we had this DS pull in while we were talking, which is equally fantastic. Slightly newer, that's from the 1970s. And look at this little Citroen van. What a beauty that is. I felt a spot of rain a minute ago. The clouds are darkening. Yes, it might ill plur in a minute if we're not lucky, but what a beauty that is. Super original looking van. I like the bumper on the front. All pretty simple but very functional. There's a Citroen Cadian with the Diane style front end on these. I used to have one of these liveried up in the colours and company name of a Parisian plumber. One of those vehicles that I really wish I'd hung on to. Quite a few 2CVs here now, they're still turning up. That one on the end there, we saw that here yesterday. We caught a glimpse of that one when we came here yesterday for the testing day. Many, many CVs everywhere you look. I might have a closer look around here a bit later, but I'm quite intrigued by that little 4CV, or as it should be called, a Renault 750, which we saw pulling in a few minutes ago. So let's wander over to the Renault side of things and just have a look at that before it starts raining. Past the Peugeot area. Yeah, a little XS. A CTI, the cabriolet version of the GTI, but I can just see the rounded form of a friendly little Renault. So we must go and have a look at that. It's right-hand drive as well, so it's not a 4CV technically. This is a Renault 750. And compared to our car, which should have been here today but isn't, this has got the later Dauphine style wheels on it. Otherwise, it's a very similar looking car. They did change in detail over the years. Yeah, different dash, slightly different. Is it? That's a lovely little car, that though, isn't it? Renault 4CV, produced 1.1 million between 1946 and 1960.
So it's got a Renault 5 engine in it.
So it's got a Renault 5 1.4 litre engine with twin choke Weber in it. Oh, grief. A Renault 8 gearbox.
Wow.
And the front radiator. Yeah, let's go and have a look at the engine. I should have had mine here today, but it's not behaving. Wow.
Oh, right. Have you got 4CV?
Well, yeah, 750 right-hand drive like this.
Right, yeah.
So it was meant to be
Yours is
here.
a London car as well then, Acton?
Yeah. But it's not quite as pokey as this one, I imagine. But
So this is, I think it's 56 horsepower. 1.4 Renault 4 engine.
Wow.
Normally lives in the front of a Renault 4, obviously. So it's been transplanted to the rear in line here with Renault 8 gearbox.
Wow.
Renault 8 discs on the front. And just a lot of time, money and clever engineering being spent on it.
I can well imagine.
To fit that in.
What's it like for cooling? And
Difficult. Well, the radiator's behind the seat, so it obviously gets its air through the arches.
Yeah.
But there's a secondary radiator at the front. Have you seen that? If you bend
right.
just behind the number plate,
There's a
horizontally, there's a off a Suzuki motorcycle. There's a horizontal about that sort of size
yeah.
in the front
Right.
with a couple of fans on the back of it, and obviously that gets some air when you're moving through traffic.
Wow.
And also there's an air intake on the floor pan. With obviously you know how low the floor pan is.
Yes. Yeah.
We've fitted an air intake because the petrol tank's that size. So on this side there's an air intake that tapers down to encourage more air
Yeah.
through here. Just to help it breathe and also help with the cooling.
Yeah. I was thinking of having the rear lid propped open a bit like in a bath.
Yes,
you
I
know.
want to, and I'm going to get this done this winter when I take her off the road. I'm going to change the petrol tank. I'm going to do a few things.
Yeah.
I'm going to get this off here something.
Yes, I was thinking of that.
Getting a bracket made.
I was thinking of mounting off the number plate thing,
with
and then just have
a little stanchion here, a little stay there, so I could ride like that.
Yeah, I was thinking of just the same thing. Yeah. Even though mine's standard, but it still gets a bit warm under there. I
On a
think.
hot day, I sometimes come into a show with that up.
Do you?
But like you say with the Abarths, obviously you can open the front there. So either I don't know what I'm going to work off there because it isn't that structural. Maybe something off the inside here.
Yeah, because you don't want it twisting and breaking the hinges, do you? So.
I mean, maybe take something off here, maybe a rod off this
Yeah.
structural part there, one on the side with a stem.
Yeah.
So I can run. It's not about getting the air through; it's getting the air out again, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, it's quite a groovy conversion, that is. So have you owned this for a while then?
Nearly 4 years now. Yeah.
Oh, right.
3 and a bit years.
Right. So was it a standard car when you got it? Was it?
No. The owner, the guy I bought it from, had commissioned all the work.
Oh,
So
right.
he'd
That's
had the work.
handy.
I know, he paid that huge bill. of which I've got the invoices.
That's the way to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, let him spend the money, and then he ran it for 18 years. They were in their 60s when, 20 years ago, they found a car, basically. I spoke to Paul Sage, who's a Renault Alpine mechanic garage. He's got a garage in London. So 20 or so years ago, he did this work, and they ran it through their sort of 60s, and then they're in their 70s now, late 70s, and they just weren't using the car. They had a number of cars, and this was one they...
Yeah.
It's a bit of a pig on a hot day. There's no, steering's quite heavy on it. So sadly, looking between some of the MOTs from the last sort of 10 years, some years it did 120 miles, 140 miles, 200 miles.
Wow.
I try and do that a month in it, just getting it out.
Keep it all working.
Keep it working. They want to be run, don't they?
Yeah, well, mine was restored, but it's not been used, so I'm sort of going through the snagging process at the moment just to try and persuade it to be reliable.
Yeah.
But we're slowly getting there. It should have been here today, but it just won't start for love nor money.
So your wheel, these
I've got the earlier wheels on mine.
Okay.
So these are like the Dauphine style, aren't they?
Dauphine with the rims. Yeah, those are the Dauphine.
Yeah, mine's a 54 registered, but I think it's a 53 chassis number.
Yeah. So this is registered in 60, possibly one of the last ones off the track before they shut down the production there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find out how many actually came through Acton, how many they made, how many came into the UK.
Yeah, I keep seeing a number of over 1.1 million, which I presumably is the French cars, but I don't know how many they made here.
I think that's full production figures of 1.1 million.
Yeah. How many they've made
whether we had thousands assembled here. But at the time, people were buying Morris Minis in the late 50s and the early 60s, weren't they? They possibly wouldn't. How many British people in the 50s would buy a French car?
Exactly. Yeah.
Especially when you've got the Morris, you've got the Mini, and you've got the British cars coming.
Yeah, I'm here in my Standard 8 today, so people would have bought that kind of thing because it's familiar, wasn't it?
Yeah. So the market would have been really small, I think, to people who would still see it as a foreign car, wouldn't they?
Well, what a treat to see that other Renault 750, a right-hand drive, UK assembled 4CV. Very modified over the Renault 5 engine. I bet it bobs along really well. So let's go back to the Citroen zone and just have another look at the various 2CVs, Dianes and Acadians that are here today. With a lovely 2CV van with the lower roof line on this one. The other one that we were looking at before has a much taller roof. It sort of came up about here, up there, and then back along there. So I'm assuming this is a slightly different model. I don't know a great deal about my 2CVs and such like, so I'm sure someone will fill me in the comments. Next to that we've got the Diane. Very bonny little car. More 2CVs. A Beachcomber limited edition there. A Citroen BX. Another DS. Incredible cars these are. A 1973 Citroen DS20. Appropriate. A little packet of Gauloises on the dashboard there. Very appropriate. We like that. Citroen BX19 TGD, diesel power, then this, the mighty XM. You don't see these very often now. Of course, they did the estate car version of these as well. Very distinctive, one of the last really distinctive Citroens, I think. With a very bonny 2CV on the end here. French cars everywhere you look around here. Like I said, we're prioritising the older ones here today. There are all sorts of ages of French car here. Le Quack. No 4CV today, I'm afraid. No. Another Acadian here, bright yellow Citroen Acadian. Very bonny, very practical. Handy if you need to carry a little child cycle. Yeah. What a cracker that is. I like that. Then again, I always like little old commercial vehicles. They're always very, very welcome here on the Old Classic Car channel, as you may have spotted by now. Yeah, loads of 2CVs here, some restored, some very, very original. This one's very, very low.
Yeah, it's low. This one.
Yeah. And there's still cars arriving as well, which is really, really good. I wonder what the oldest car will be here today. So far, I think it may be nothing pre-war. We haven't spotted anything.
Big old.
Yeah, no light 15s, or I thought maybe that Citroen, was it a Rosalie that we saw in Llandud? No,
Yes, yeah, I was
that
thinking
black
that
one.
as well.
That would be
Something
good.
like that.
That'd be good here, wouldn't it? Actually, if we had got the 4CV here, it might have been the oldest car actually so far, wouldn't it?
It's older than the other one.
Yeah, right. Let's carry on over here and just have a look, see what older cars we can spot. There's a Citroen Roma home there, that's quite cool, based on the C15 van. Quite a few Peugeot 205s, they've got quite a following now. Especially the little, obviously the GTIs and the Rally, which is probably even rarer, I think. Super original. Base model, I think, 205 there. The 106 Rally, again, these are really sought after now. A 309 Rally car. Renault 5 GT Turbo, I think there'll be a few of those here today. But one vehicle I did want to look at was this, the Renault 4 van, the F6 van on a C-plate, so about 1985. Isn't that a great little van? And this is the one that's got the lift-up flap in the roof there, so you can carry your ladders through there. What a great van that is, I like that a lot. Wasn't expecting that. Right, back to the Renault 4 van. Super cool. So that's like the Renault equivalent of the Citroen Acadian and the AK400 that we were looking at before. Oh, Trebon. Clearly this one is well travelled. Clouds are still building, but so far it seems to be blowing around. Right, I think we're in the modern area here. Someone spotted the little standard over the back there. The Renault 5 Turbo. Very characterful little cars. If you saw the video we did on the road trip to France towards the end of last year, we saw quite a few of these, the early Renault Twingo, the Mark 1 Renault Twingo. Again, very characterful little machines. My youthful assistant is quite fond of these. There you go, Twingo for you. What have we got over here? Another pair of Renault 5s. GT Turbo, of course. But this is what I'm drawn to, the Renault 5 TS. This is the kind of vehicle that everyone can associate with. This is the sort of car that maybe went on a school run in or something like that back in the 70s and the 1980s. This one's on an A plate, so about 1982 or 83. It's great to see all these different variants of once really popular cars being preserved. What's this, a Renault 11? A Renault 11 Turbo, no less. There's a Renault 21 over there. Sometimes we see a white one of these turn up. We've seen it at Hopley House and at the Crew Heritage meetings, I think.
I don't think, from the picture earlier, I don't think with this environment I get to.
Now we have the rear-engined Renault Turbo. What a car this is. Built very much with rallying in mind, the Group B rally days. What a wild car that is. I suppose this might be the ultimate evolution of the Renault 4CV concept, with the engine hung out the back perhaps. And just like the 4CV, got vents set into where the rear wings would be to help with cooling. So yeah, Definitely the ultimate evolution of that. Ragnotti, that was Jean Ragnotti. He used to rally these back in the day. What a very, very neat old car that is. Let's have a quick peek in through the tiny sliding perspex window here. Right, it's off to the paddock, which is that direction. Let's go and have a look, see what's over there. Oh, that's a really handy vehicle, isn't it, for an event like this? Park up and you can have a brew in the back. Doesn't matter what the weather's doing. But this ID19, what a treat to speak to the owner of this one before. Such a rare car. Yeah, compared to, this is a Palace, I think, which was a fairly upmarket version in the 1970s. The comparisons here, even the different lights in there on the back corner of the roof. These are stainless, as we were saying before, these ones here, stainless. And these are just a very simple, I'm not sure if it's a plastic or a Bakelite. Yeah, what a treat. I never realised that all DSs have fiberglass roofs, but usually they're finished and painted, as on this DS. But on the ID, it was just left in its original fiberglass weave. Very, very interesting car, that is. Great to see that. I love the detailing of the little lights on the front as well. You got the little marker light here, a bit like a Rover P6. They have little marker lights there as well, little telltale. And these beautiful little curved, jewelled side lights. What a treat that is. Right. And this beautiful 2CV van. Wow. Okay, right, Paddock, let's get over there. Very appropriate music in the background as well. Instrumentation out of an Austin. Like an Austin 8 or an Austin 10. You can see the little winged Austin badge there. Very ingenious. And that bonkers little Talbot mattress. It's a shame you can't see through the window the 3 abreast seating. It's probably almost unique feature of these particular cars. Of course the McLaren F1 had 3 abreast seating, but the driver sat in the middle, not off to the side. So that makes that particularly unusual. And while we're on the way to Paddock, let's just give a nod to this little 106 van on the end here, because that, I don't remember the last time I saw one of those. Ooh la la! Well, there's several different race series taking part today. Some of them French cars, some not French.
There's also the Time Attack.
Yeah, Time Attack. All sorts of cars racing here today. But obviously we'll be prioritising. There's a nice old trailer there. Quite like that. 1970s possibly. Yeah, that's quite neat. Right, let's carry on looking around. See what gems we've got. Obviously we popped in here yesterday, but there's a bit more going on today. Bit of spannering on this 2CV here. Another one here, very low slung, race prepared. If we can, we'll try and capture a bit of footage of the 2CV race a bit later on. Little tin snail race cars, and the escargots, the snail.
Well, I can't. Well, I have got it, but it needs to be opened in the program. Yeah.
Have a quick peek under the bonnet of this one. Big air cleaner for the carburettor there, and this special housing made here to channel the cool air into the carburettor.
Oh no, I loved it. Very, very troubled.
We saw that car here yesterday. I did have a quick chat with the owner of that one. I love walking around Paddocks. You just see so much going on, all the car prep that goes on between the different races, qualifying and practice sessions. Gives you a real insight into what it's like racing and preparing any race car, whether it's some fancy F1 car or GT sports car, or even a slightly more affordable end, only slightly more affordable end of the racing arena. We've got a nice bungee cord doing a bit of work there. I always think sometimes it's more interesting walking around the paddock than actually watching the racing, but I'm sure with the 2CVs today the racing will be equally entertaining.
How are you doing?
I wonder if anyone still races for Renault 4CVs. I know they were raced back in the day on the Mille Miglia and on the Monte Carlo Rally, but I wonder if anyone still races them on circuits now. It'd be quite neat if they did, maybe up against some 2CVs. Nice old Thor hammer. These race meetings are great. You can just, you can access and have a proper walk around the paddock. Not like F1 where you're kept about a quarter of a mile from anything that resembles action. Here you can get right in close and have a proper look at the cars as they're being prepared. So here's the schedule of the trackside goings on today. So we've got various qualifying sessions in the morning and a couple of races, then after the lunch break more races, Caterhams, the CNC Heads Championship, Junior Saloon Car Championship and so on. So we might catch some of that a little bit later, but we will be prioritising, or at least I will be prioritising, the older cars, the older French cars, yeah, the older French cars, in particular those in the car club area. Yeah, let's go and have a quick walk around there just in case there's something interesting.
There's plenty.
Yeah, another 2CV racer here. This one looks like it's lived a life. Couple more down here. There's a little air-cooled engine there, hung out ahead of the front axle line. The bulkhead bears witness to a bit of oil being sprayed around, but at least it stops it rusting. Again, the access is just fantastic even here in the main paddock area. That's the joy of these smaller events. Some great cars, and you can have a proper look at them. Perspex windows in this one. As I mentioned before, this is the first time that the Auto de France event has taken part here at sunny, well not so sunny, Oulton Park. And hopefully this will become a regular feature of the calendar at this Cheshire race circuit. Certainly it seems to be well supported, this particular event, by the 2CV racers from across the country. They do look like a lot of fun. This is the scrutineering bay here at Oulton Park, where all the cars are checked to make sure that they meet with all the regulations for each particular race series. Make sure they're not too noisy, they've all got the legal components, no one's fitting parts they shouldn't be fitting, that kind of thing. Looks like one of the Caterhams has had a failure to proceed moment. Audis. Back to French cars. 205 GTI 1.9. Although whether it's still 1.9, I do not know. And a gaggle of Clios. Some of these cars we saw yesterday on practice day, or testing rather. It was a general test day, but there was quite a few of the cars competing here today on the Saturday. We're also just bedding in the cars, setting them up ready for the circuit. It's quite an interesting little circuit, Oulton Park. First race was in about 1954, I think, something like that. It's quite narrow, quite twisty, quite undulating, a very scenic racing circuit. Quick mooch down here. It's always interesting to have a look, see what's going on in the paddock at any race meeting, whether it's a circuit race meeting or a hill climb, anything really. It's always good just to stick your nose into garages and see what's going on in the background. And here's various cars out on track. It looks like it's the caterhams going round, so I think we will amble off in the general direction of Old Hall Corner, which is over there. I'll go and see where Harley is. This is the assembly area where the cars will gather before the next race or qualifying session. There's a lot of caterhams racing this weekend as well. Oh, look at this, a nice early Volvo Amazon, a 122S. I've had one or two of these over the years. Wow, that's a beauty, that is. The early car, the early grills and the red hubcaps. We gave the Standard an extra special clean yesterday evening just for today. Flying the flag for British classic cars at this otherwise very French themed event. Anyway, let's go over here, down to Old Hall and find Harley. Here he is. We've got the CNC Heads Championship cars coming out for qualifying as well. A real mixture of cars in this one. I think we might be needing this soon. This was bought at the very first Goodwood Revival meeting back in 1998. Let's see if we can find somewhere to sit.
His quickest in this session is third quickest, number 28, Daniel Neal, 2 minutes 7.246 before Mike arrived there this morning because somebody had left the microphone open. But
we're just waiting for this qualifying session to end, and it is the first race of the day, the Citroen 2CVs. That's something we've been looking forward to for a little while.
by way of my business, I came across a chap called Jem Marsh. Oh yes. Who was the famous guy with Marcos, and he was running a car at Mondello. So he said, why don't you come and give it a go? Because I'd watched it on telly and quite easy, so well, did it. And in Mondello was a lovely circuit. It is a lovely circuit, but then it was very informal circuit, fine way of putting it. And so I went through all that and rented the car, shared the car. And shock was all the breeze that I went up. I would say the most of the suspension.
Place off the grid.
Who's that, sorry?
Number 67.
And off they head towards Old Hall Corner. And it is side by side, but it's going to be, I think, on the inside line. 49 Chris Tovey, he'll have the advantage, but sitting with you on the outside line is Sandro Payetti, who just want to have to give way in the end. Feels that he has no alternative. But he's coming up, bringing around the corner. Then Neville again, so the head heel side for the first time, like it's Tovey and Payetti side by side.
Right, it's Peretti in the lead with 76 Andrew Bull coming through. Andrew Bull takes the lead out of the field. So Chris Tovey has taken the lead. A useful lead he has at the moment as he comes into and up into second place. It's number 92, is it? Nick Rhodes up into second place. Nick Rhodes in second place. Then number 30, Peretti. 97, David O'Keefe. Then number 40 coming through, which is Chris Yates.
Many lengths lead as he comes through to complete the opening lap. Then from pole position it's 49 Chris Tovey, then a long gap back to in second place number 92, who's making good progress on the full throw. Nick Rhodes in second place, Andrew Payetti is third in fourth place, 97 David O'Keefe in fifth place, number 89. And in sixth place is number 40 Chris Yates. So quite a bit of shuffling apart from the leader. Benefiting probably from the shuffle going on behind him.
Yeah, Nick Rhodes is the champion leader, made up sixth place.
Yeah, do we know why he was so far back in qualifying, Mark? No, I don't. Late come number 89, Chris does. Richard Martin has Nick Chris got any chance of catching over the gap's too big. Right, and if Kazon stays on the road, that would be a hard one. Yeah.
He could get him out of second place.
Yes, that's last time.
Yeah.
He's really flying. He really wants to be championship there. He's worthy.
Paddock putting in some good time. Fifth place, Andrew Bull.
Yes.
He's getting
By track this morning,
yeah,
they are.
quite a bit.
It's probably drying quite quickly. That will put him in a very good place in the championship, won't it? 5 points. And you get hundreds of points for doing anything in this championship, don't you? 100 for the winner, yeah. Everyone gets something. If you finish, you get 10.
Right, over hilltop comes Chris Tovey then for the third time of asking.
Quite well, they're quite long lasting. Wet or dry, obviously. What I was going to pick up on it is that we invite anyone here to come and look at the cars. The leader, number 49, Chris Tovey, completing 4 laps now. Gives a 5-second penalty. The gap first to second is possible. It's now 13 seconds, so I think we can take it. Chris Tovey's going to win. Back to Oulton Park. Championship leader, Nick Quickly.
Back to third place now.
Yeah. Doing a very good there. What have I done? David the winner. Oh yes.
David O'Keefe is now up to third place at the expense of Sandro Peretti.
Right, we've got a pit visitor. Looks like and he is near the back anyway. He's got it wrong. It's still at 2:48. But for second place, it's nip and tuck. Whatever the French call it. Second or third place. Chris Yates, and in 10th place, number 35, Ethan Sparrow. But the lead that Chris Tovey now has is 15.5 seconds. About the whole length of the pit straight ahead of anybody else, put it that way. And as they make a dash from the line, it's almost side by side as they cross the line. From our position we can't quite see, but it's in second place, number 89, and Crispin in third place. We had Martin here on tenterhooks because it's one of his cars. Number 97, David O'Keefe, didn't quite make it. And so second place, the official gap, 0.264 seconds, but they seem to be rather less than that. In fourth place, setting the fastest lap of the race on the last lap, was number 76, Andrew Ball. In fifth place, 35, Ethan Sparrow. And in sixth place, number 30, Sandro Proietti. Seventh was number 40, Chris Yates. In eighth place, number 19, Nick Rhodes, maintenance the track ride out. In ninth place, number 70, Matthew Hollis. And in 10th place, number 55.
Right. Yeah, good.
Had a bit of a hit in this race because he had a problem at the start, he got going and then he had another moment and then he had a mechanical problem at the point.
Well folks, it's getting a little bit damp here at Lodge Corner, sunny Oulton Park. Most of the racing's done for the day, and it was a static cars really that I came to come and have a look at this French car do. So I hope you enjoyed that one. Thanks very much for watching. Please check out some of the other previous uploads and the shows we've been to. And there may be many more videos come along very, very soon. Bye for now.